We're Team 20, a group of textile service, fashion and product designers. This winter, we set out on a mission to explore opportunities for resilience design, heading to a borough in southeast London, Lewisham. First, we turned to the internet, trying to uncover hints about the challenges faced by the community, and we locked onto our first problem: black mould. Unfortunately, this wasn't quite right. Why? When we arrived in Lewisham, we discovered that we couldn't find black mould, or rather we couldn't connect with people directly affected with it. It was disappointing, and whilst black mould is indeed an issue, we realised that solving it would be difficult given the time we had, and we wouldn't be able to get it done before spring. So we shoved ourselves onto a South East Railway train and headed to the Lewisham Community Centre to listen to the voices of those within it. At the Community Centre, on one of the pillars, we found the challenge that embodied the community's hopes for resilience, an urgent appeal. It was a poster calling for signatures to save Lewisham Station Free Book Library, mentioning about a free book exchange is about to be removed from the Lewisham train station due to a fire safety inspection. In Lewisham, we met Prem Lata, a retired social worker who has lived here for the past 43 years. She told us that the book exchange is an integral part of the local community culture in Lewisham. As a devoted participant of the Lewisham Book Exchange herself, she guided us along Lewisham's main roads where we discovered 2 additional micro-libraries, repurposed from old telephone boxes. These 2 micro-libraries are elegant and exquisite, like pieces of art. Locals of all ages actively use and protect these unique reading spaces. We also met Tom, a local volunteer who was organising books inside one of the telephone booths. Tom shared that many people like himself help maintain these book exchanges. The booths themselves were refurbished and repainted by local residents. He explained that this is a unique system built on trust and sharing. You take a book and leave one in return. Through this, Lewisham residents have formed an invisible bond, strengthening their community. At this point, we came to understand that for Lewisham, resilience meant preserving this invisible bond through community reading culture. Now, let's go back to the train station. The potential loss of the library highlighted the community's vulnerability in terms of social cohesion and emotional well-being. More than just a place for books, the library is a vital hub where people of all ages gather, connect and support each other. So what's so special about the book exchange at the Lewisham station? Nestled within the bustling train station, the library offers more than convenience. It provides a moment of pause in the chaos of daily life. For Lewisham's commuters, it's a space to grab a book before their journey, exchange stories, or simply take a breather. Unlike traditional libraries, its informal setup makes it approachable, inviting both regulars and first-timers alike. It's a valuable asset that transforms a transient space into one of connection and a shared experience. Before taking any actions, we tried to find out what locals have done in response to the situation. On December the 27th, Michael Peacock, founder of Lewisham Station Free Book Libraries, received a removal notice from the DLR. He responded by launching an urgent appeal on change.org, urging locals to sign a petition. The petition called for the London Fire Brigade to review its decision and South Eastern Railway to restore the bookcases. Posters with QR codes were placed locally and over 1,500 signatures have been collected. So, while the locals campaigned to keep this book exchange that was a fire hazard, we as designers started to question, is this really a fire hazard? We carefully studied the referenced fire precautions at underground railway stations in England and the regulatory reform Fire Safety Order 2005. Indeed, under these regulations, the existing wooden bookshelves and piled books pose fire hazards. The main issue includes the accumulation of combustible materials, the lack of fireproof enclosures, and the obstruction of evacuation paths. But we noticed something interesting. We found that the Metro newspaper racks located near the wooden shelves were not subject to the same concerns. If books were considered a fire risk, shouldn't newspapers also be? The answer is yes. However, they pose a lesser risk due to the following reasons. First, newspaper stands are made of fire-resistant materials like aluminium or steel, unlike the bookshelves, which are wood. Second, the structure is compact as opposed to shelves that occupy a larger area. And third, there is limited stock as opposed to the unlimited books on the shelves. Any solution that we design has to imitate these 3 principles. While we make changes to the product, there has to be one bigger change, and that's behaviour. While newspapers have a grab-and-go behaviour, books have a way of more browsing behaviour, and this behaviour could cause bottlenecks, especially since the bookshelves were located at exit routes. This was further validated by a fire safety personnel that we spoke to. He said since the shelves are overground and on a concrete floor, it's not really a risk. The only risk I could see is the potential congestion it may cause. And so, while we could easily change the material, the bigger problem was to solve congestion. This leads us to our design direction. How might we preserve the book swap culture at the station whilst reducing browsing time? Our solution? The Blind Book Exchange. The Blind Book Exchange is a series of book displays around Lewisham station exit that hold books which people can grab and take with them on their commute. In terms of structure and space, these book displays will be nailed into the walls, enabling easy access to the books. As well as the books being placed at eye level, the display will enable a horizontal slot mechanism which limits the number of books and allows for a grab-and-go action. The material choice of the displays will be fire-resistant, such as aluminium, to reduce any fire risks. But why blind, and how do people use it? First, we need to remind ourselves that book swaps aren't libraries. It's not about finding a particular book, but the joy of finding a book. And so each book cover will be covered in recycled paper with simply the genre and 3 indicative words of what is within. Each genre will be colour-coded. For example, romance will be placed on a red book display. Here, the thrill of it is not browsing, but rather picking blindly and discovering what you picked after, thus reducing congestion and encouraging a grab-and-go behaviour, similar to newspapers. These books act as a selection of travelling stories being shared from individual to individual, a ghost relationship where an invisible thread ties the community together, this thread being the shared experience of a blind book exchange. Not only does this defeat congestion, but also emphasise the importance of expanding community shared experiences. Once someone has read the book, they are able to sign or write little thoughts about the book on its cover or inside, and this would act as a tangible form of community resilience. Instructions on the use of the book exchange will be explained on a small plaque next to the book displays, for example, the genre colour and the pick and leave mechanism. We hope that if this blind book behaviour is successful, that it can transcend the station of Lewisham and we can replicate it at all stations where bookshelves exist, and we can incorporate our design features to minimise fire risk. As a team, we're happy that we could arrive at a solution through a truly interdisciplinary approach. From a service design standpoint, we focused on making a shift from browsing to a grabbing and going behaviour. From an interaction design perspective, we optimised the ergonomics of bookshelves, making it easier for people to quickly select books. And lastly, by incorporating insights from fashion and textile design, we carefully analysed material properties and selected the most suitable materials. We're excited to see where these books travel and bring our concept to life. We are Team 20.